Good morning, and welcome to St. Paul's Universalist Church. Thanks for venturing out in, I guess March is deciding to go out like a lion. I don't know, there's my grandfather, who I think would be 103 had he lived. He used to call this kind of weather poor man's manure. Has anyone heard that expression? He was a farmer, but yeah, that's what they call it when you get that. Wait a minute, it's spring. Why is it snowing this time of year? Anyway, I appreciate you coming out today in the last vestiges of winter. In the way of announcements, today is Pledge Sunday, and I've got an announcement here from our collector. Oh, collector Julie. I know you're out there, but not yet. Okay. Please complete your pledge cards. You have them if you're already a pledge member, and return them to Julie today. If you did not receive a pledge card or don't have them and would like one, please see her after the service down in the sanctuary, or no, fellowship hall. Whoa, okay. And you receive your envelopes at a later date with those pledge cards, and they don't start until July. We pledge now, but we still have, our envelopes from last year for the remainder of this year. Are there any other announcements that anyone would like to share with the congregation? Okay, let us proceed to our musical call to worship.
Holy and beautiful, the custom which brings us together to face our ideals and to be in life. Holy and beautiful, the customs which brings us together to give thanks and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages. Through this quiet hour we hear the music of history. Three unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. Let all hearts prepare praise.
I open with the words of the late Helen Keller, who said that alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Please join me in the words as we open with our traditional lighting of the chalice. We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for those who may yet find this spiritual home, and for those we can't even yet imagine. For each of us and for us all, may this flame burn warm and bright. Our opening hymn is number 290. proclamation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another and with our God.
In a song that's lifted upward, in a prayer that's whispered low, in this place of holy worship, we can feel our sense and know God is here, God is here, with the people gathered near. In this place of holy worship, God is here. In a mother's strength and wisdom, in a father's gentle care, in our families each one different, we discover God is there. God is there, God is there, in our homes no matter where. In our families each one different, God is there. God is in, around, beside us, behind us and before, ever present when we gather to worship and adore. In our homes and in our families, we know that God is there, and we become God's presence in our world and everywhere. In the love we show our neighbors, in the friendship that we share, in a simple act of kindness, we reveal that God is there. God is there, God is there, in our loving and our care. In a simple act of kindness, God is there. In this place of holy worship, in our families each one different, in a simple act of kindness, God is there. God is there.
I invite you to join me in a time of prayerful meditation. These words are adapted from the Reverend Victoria Weinstein. We have been given this beautiful day, and we have been given the gift of the worship tradition that draws us together in this house of hope and memory, of learning, of healing, of growing, and of serving. And for that, we lift up grateful hearts. We have been given the inspiration of our brothers and sisters in faith, who walk with us the path of the free religious life, who companion us in our joys and our sorrows, and who are ours by some design of fate or necessity to care for and to love, to forgive and to cherish for this time of our lives. And for that, we lift up grateful hearts. We have been given minds with which to wonder and to reason. And we have been given voices to speak and to sing and to shout against injustice. And we have hands to work and to build the better world we would have for ourselves and our children. We are asked to use them all in the service of love and justice. we lift up grateful hearts. We have been given the divine spark as children of God, all, each and every one, whose health and wholeness requires us to tend to the life of the soul. In our rushing and our doing, may we not forget whose we are and what we truly are. Not human beings having a spiritual experience, but rather spiritual beings having a human experience. And for this, we lift up grateful hearts. We ponder this mystery together, glad for one another, blessed by the abundance of our lives, and called to give abundantly of ourselves to it. Amen. Let us now have a moment of silence where we listen to the wisdom of our hearts and minds. Our next song is number 123. Today's homily has a bit of audience participation, nothing too demanding. It's Pledge Sunday, and it's a time for remembering why we're here and what we are able to accomplish together. And in that spirit, I would like to invite you to join me in responsive reading number 594. Many of us who have been attending UU churches for many years will find these words familiar, but I think it's important to periodically share them. These are we say we are a religion without creeds. This is the closest thing that Unitarian Universalists have to a creed. Principles and purposes for all of us. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
We believe that each and every person is important.
We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
We believe that all people should be treated fairly.
We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth.
We believe that our churches are places where all people are accepted and where we keep one another together.
We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. We affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Question: what do Unitarian Universalists believe? Answer: whatever they want. I've had people tell me that ours seems like the easiest religion out there. But I would point out to them our fourth principle: a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So free, yes, but also responsible. You can't have one without the other. Not so easy after all. Being a Unitarian Universalist takes work, takes effort. It means holding the reins for steering the wagon, as it were, for your own growth and spiritual development. This is a church that gives you perspectives, not answers. Finding answers is up to the individual. And the correct answer could be different for different people. So no, we won't try to tell you the answers here. In truth, we don't even know all of the questions yet. But we will support you in your search for them. Because we recognize the value of being together, supporting one another, being a community. And that's the thing. UUs refer to themselves as a church, a society, or a fellowship. But what makes them those things is not a sanctuary or building or hall. It's the people. The church is the people. Without the support of the people, without the contributions, without the presence of the people, the building is an empty shell. And our church is a free church. You are not only free to believe the truths you find, you are free to change your mind. And you can come and go as you please. We're not going to tell you that if you don't come here, eternal damnation awaits. This whole thing only works so long as we want it to. This will sound like a broken record to some of you. But I've been a member of this church for 20 years. 20 years ago this month, actually, Dawn and I joined. I remember Marty right up here led us and we signed the membership book. And when we first came here, I felt so blessed to have found a spiritual home that allowed me to nurture my beliefs without telling me what to believe, that allowed me to ask the tough questions and to seek the answers that rang true for me. A community where I could reflect and change my mind in the presence of new insights. And it has changed over the years as new insights and new things have become available, both in my interactions with members of the congregation, in my own studies, in doing this. Changed a lot in 20 years. But this is a church that allows for that and encourages that and supports that. And people back then said, we'll be lucky if this church is still here in 5 years. My heart sank. My wife can tell you I was on a quest to find a church, and a church like this. And so when I heard 5 years, come on. And yet here we are. This church, this community, has survived because of the dedication of those who call this their spiritual home. Some people have come and gone. Some have been here for decades, some most of their lives. It reminds me of that silly old Energizer bunny in the battery commercials. We keep going and going and going. St. Paul, the namesake of our church, in his first letter to the church in the city of Corinth, wrote these words. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of service, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another gifts of healing by the one Spirit. To another the working of miracles. To another prophecy. To another the discernment of spirits. To another various kinds of tongues. To another the interpretation of tongues. All these are activated by one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually just as the Spirit chooses. Paul talks about the many gifts of the Spirit. And each of us has their own set of gifts, their own set of talents. Here's the thing about spiritual gifts that perhaps differentiates them from the traditional material world. The more you share them, the greater they become. I said this a couple weeks ago, but I'll probably say it in the years to come as well. If this church only ran on love, dedication, good feelings, and good intentions, we'd never have to worry about staying open. The truth, of course, is like any other organization, we require human and financial resources to keep the lights on, as it were. And this is why we have Pledge Sunday every year. And folks, it's no fun asking for money. Some of you who, I don't know if they did this before the 1970s, every year they'd hand us this little box of junk merchandise and have us go up and down the street trying to get our neighbors to buy it. I hated it. Hated trying to hey, want to buy these oven mitts? Want to contribute to this? Want to contribute to that? Buy this wrapping paper? To the point that when our kids had fundraisers, I said, don't even bother, we'll see if Grandma and Grandpa want to buy some, and then I'll just buy the rest. There, just not going to make you do that. So, yeah, it's no fun asking for money. And I realize that we are coming out of a pandemic. And as has happened with prior pandemics, it's resulted in inflation. Demand was so low with the world shut down that production hasn't caught up with the needs of society coming out the other side, or so the economists tell me. The situation in Ukraine hasn't helped the economy either. Not only with fuel, but also Ukraine is a huge wheat-producing country. And as I said earlier, I figure paying more for gas is a small sacrifice compared to what the people of Ukraine are having to sacrifice without choice. So I know we're all getting hit a little harder in the checkbook. There is no tithing requirement in Unitarian Universalism. You can give as much or as little as you wish. I guess my pitch, if I were to make one, and I guess I am making one, is this. We are glad that you are here and that with all the choices out there, you choose to come here on a Sunday morning. You could go to another church. You could stay home. You could still be sleeping, but you choose to come here. Mark and my goal is for services that while not being all things to all people, that would not be possible in any congregation, especially one as diverse as traditional Unitarian Universalist church. Nonetheless, we strive to provide a little something for everyone every week, be it the comfort of tradition, music that moves you, an inspiring prayer or reading or sermon, what have you. So if this church, if this community is a source of inspiration to you, a spiritual home to you, a place of fellowship, a place of belonging, a place where you can seek and find other seekers, a place that nourishes your mind, your spirit, and or your soul, please consider supporting it financially. And in the spirit of community, I'd like us to end this homily with responsive reading number 569. These are the words of the Reverend Olympia Brown. She was a Universalist, and depending on which historian you talk to, she was either the first woman in America to become an ordained minister or definitely one of the first three. Stand by this faith. Stand by this faith. Work for it and sacrifice for it.
There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith,
which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. That you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost. Stand by this faith. Amen. Our closing song is number 1028.
When we live
close our service with an African proverb. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Please join me in the words as we extinguish the chalice. The flame is extinguished, not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in all the world.